Hello and welcome to another edition of Path to the Pinnacles. My name is Tim Walker. It is great to have your company as we build up to day number 3 out there at Ascot, and what a race we have got to look forward to. The Drummond Golf Belgravia Stakes is centre of attention. With me is Taylor Cortland. Hello, TC.
Hello, Tim. How are you?
Very well. Great to see you, and it's also great to see you, Digby Beecham. How do we find you?
Very well, Tim. Good morning to you, TC. Looking forward to this Drummond Golf Belgravia Stake listed race over the 1,200 metres, and at the head of the market, you've got 2 high-standard 3-year-olds.
That we certainly do. Let's not waste any time. Let's get stuck straight into the 3-year-old feature, the Drummond Golf Belgravia Stakes. There's been some greats of the turf win this race. Last year, it was won by Search and Rocks. We'll have a look at the market with Tab Touch. $2.30 Amelia's Jewel. Snowdome at $2.35. Rumour says $6.50. Man Crush $16. Penny on the Queen and Azina both at $23. Uncle Jared at $31 and $34 is Swim Through. TC, take us through the speed map.
Well, I think we differ this week, Diggers. I thought Man Crush would go to the top.
Yeah.
And then Snowdome sits outside. I had Amelia's Jewel 3 back the fence, meaning Uncle Gerard sort of sits leaders back. Swim Through up there as well. You have a differing view?
I do, TC, but I certainly take your point in regards to Man Crush perhaps leading Snowdome, given he's drawn 6 and Snowdome has drawn 7. He's shown good speed previously, Man Crush. In fact, he's shown good speed throughout his career. I just thought Snowdome, Chris might be really positive. Really positive. Try to hit the rail, knowing full well if that is indeed the case, and Amelia's Jewel is perhaps 3 back the fence, he is going to have a distinct advantage turning for home.
You think Amelia's Jewel 3 back the fence?
I thought maybe at 1,200 metres fresh, she could step and box seat. That's how I've assessed it. Now, I might be on an island in regards to how I'm reading the map of this race, but I thought when you go back and you look at her debut effort over 1,000 as a 2-year-old, she jumped pretty well. And then she landed in 1-1. She had a little bit of riding to put herself there. That's over 1,000 metres in listed company. And then in the Jim Crack and also the Karrakatta, she drew a little bit sticky, was dragged back.
Well, while we're talking about Amelia's Jewel, let's profile her first here. Of course, she is the Tab Touch elect. She opened the Tab Touch elect. She's 3 from 3. She won the Karrakatta plate at the crescendo of her 2-year-old campaign. So, the trials, that's the big question, TC and Diggers. What do we make of them?
Well, I was a little bit iffy on the first trial. I didn't think I was a little bit surprised she's come back like she did, but then you take the holistic view. She is 6 weeks from now away from her grand final. So when she first trialled, she was 2 months away from her grand final. So I probably had too high expectations of her going to that first trial. She took really good improvement into that second trial. So if she takes the same amount of improvement from her second trial now to race day, she's going to be almost right there, ready to go at the top of her game.
Yeah, look, and it's hard, isn't it? Because I'm really respectful, and we'll get to our overall view of this race and our prediction a little bit later. I want to be with Snowdome, but I'm also sitting back looking at Amelia's Jewel and looking at the body of work with which she is sitting here this morning, and she's 3 for 3. All wins have been in black type company. Admittedly, they're 2-year-old black type races as opposed to 3-year-old. We know that Snowdome has already taken that next step. I'm just thinking if you go against her and she goes there and she blows them up, and she may well do that. She might need the run, but it wouldn't be a shock if she just chimed in and dashed clear of her opposition and won by 2, because we've seen it previously with her.
Doing the market last night, I found it hard to just get a grip on Amelia's Jewel. We know what she did as a 2-year-old. You've outlined it there, Diggers, and if she comes back with that sort of form, takes a natural improvement we expect as a 3-year-old, she's going to be awfully hard to beat. But then you have to factor in the fact that Simon Miller and Peter Walsh all the way through have been talking about the Northerly. That's over 1,800 metres in 6 weeks' time. Now she's first up off 2 trials at 1,200. I just don't feel like I have a really good grip of where she's at first up.
Gentlemen, we are about to see her for the first time on Saturday afternoon. You mentioned the Northerly there, TC. What's the gut feel tell you in terms of the end game? Is it the Northerly, or could we see things change on the run and maybe she ends up just playing the 3-year-old races this time in?
I would think she heads to a Northerly. Certainly that's the start point right now. As we're about to launch this campaign, if I'm in Peter Walsh and Simon Miller's corner, that is grand final. So everything goes towards that. Now, do you stay on that course? There's always a little wrinkle here and there, and there could well be a deviation. But as we sit here this morning, that is likely to be the grand final.
All right, well, that is Amelia's Jewel. Let's move on because we need to have a look at Snowdome. Now, Diggers, you just mentioned that Snowdome has already proven it at 3-year-old level. He did that in the Crown Perth 3-year-old Classic. Interestingly, this double has not been done, the Crown Perth 3-year-old Classic into the Belgravia Stakes. That double, albeit it is only a new race, the 3-year-old Classic, between the time it had at Bunbury and Ascot.
I think one thing we do acknowledge here, TC, is this horse, as much as he was really good over 1,000, he's going to be better suited at 1,200, you would think. Neville's on record saying he potentially could be going to a Guineas.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've had this conversation a few times on the Sports Daily and even on this show. I'm not too sure Snowdome gets to a Guineas. I think he's almost too brilliant for 1,600. He sort of fits in that boat It's a Ray Day did last year, and we know what happened once he got out to 1,600 metres. He was just a striking colt, this boy. When we were there opening day, he walked into the yard and gee whiz, who's that? And it's Snowdome, and he ran up to his looks first up. He was absolutely outstanding. 3 wide the trip in a pretty quickly run 1,000 metres, and he almost broke 11 seconds his final furlong. So he was hitting the line after a tough run.
And he really quickened up, sorry, Tim. Like when Brad asked him to quicken up in the straight, like he got around the corner and he was conscious of All Show and where she was in the run. And then when he pressed the button, he just exploded. It was a devastating turn of foot from a horse who, we all expected to be heading towards the Guineas. Can I just pose the question to you two gentlemen? I'll ask you both. Had All Show had an unimpeded run in that Crown Perth 3-year-old Classic, do you think she would have won that race? Yes or no?
Yes, taking nothing away from how good Snowdome was.
TC?
I don't know. Yeah, I'll go with yes.
So if that's the case and All Show wins that race, what price would have Snowdome been going into this race?
3 wide, no covering 1,000 being beaten, maybe ahead, maybe around $3 possibly.
Yeah, I think that would be the absolute maximum he would have been, I would have thought.
Yeah, and we spoke to Brad McManus this morning on the Sports Daily, and he said there's been good support for Snowdome, and you can understand why.
So with what you said, TC, about Snowdome and whether you think he's a Guineas prospect, you're maybe leaning towards no. How big is Saturday afternoon in trying to work this out? Where to for Neville Parnham? Because clearly Snowdome, he's nominated for everything.
Well, I've probably factored that in a little bit more into the price, that I think Snowdome sort of, how do I explain, he's sort of going there trying to put his best foot forward, whereas Amelia's Jewel, we know where the end game is. She probably doesn't need to win. Not that the connections and everyone's going there not trying to win. Of course they're going to try and win, but it's not desperately they need to win. It's more of a fact-finding mission for Snowdome. He's going to go there, put his best foot forward. Amelia's Jewel's going to take good improvement from the first up effort.
Don't underestimate the value of race fitness. Snowdome has that. 2 trials going into a first up win, outstanding. Amelia's Jewel, 2 trials going into a first up run, solid. He's already got the runs on the board as a 3-year-old.
Let's do the rest of the field now. We've had a good look at the 2 main contenders that are up the top of the market. We'll have a look at the rest of the field, and heading up the rest is the place getter from the Crown Perth 3-year-old Classic, and that, of course, is from the Luke Fernie yard in Rumour Says, with CJP back aboard, TC.
Yeah, absolutely. She was good first up. No trial. She had a few months in between her last start effort, and then her first up run in the 3-year-old Classic was caught wide. Had the back of Snowdome. Couldn't quite keep up when Snowdome quickened, but she hadn't had 2 trials going into that race, so you'd think she'd take good improvement. The gate's a little bit sticky. She'll probably be maybe in the last 3 or 4 in running, I thought. From there, it's a little bit of a fact-finding mission as well. Her at 1,200 metres, but Luke Fernie on the Sports Daily earning the week thinks 1,200 metres right up her alley.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how she goes second up off going to the races and running well without the benefit of a trial. I was just a little bit worried by the fact that Snowdome dropped her off. When he turned for home and Brad went, he let down properly, and she sort of laboured a little bit, and then she came again. She was good at the end, but he left her in his way.
The other Luke Fernie runner in the race, should I say, is of course Man Crush, and we get to see him 1,400 metres back to 1,200 metres on Saturday afternoon. Do you feel, Diggers, that he might be better suited 2 weeks' time in a Faritha?
I think so. I thought the most recent effort was good. He worked across from a wide draw to find the top over 1,400 metres. In saying that, he's shown speed previously. I think this is the horse that Taylor thinks can take up the running here and find the rail, and then Snowdome is to his outside. I thought maybe Snowdome would cross Man Crush, and therefore Man Crush would be in the slipstream, or certainly to the flanks of Snowdome. I think he's a nice horse. I'm just not sure if he's right up to this level. In saying that, of the top two, that is.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with Man Crush. He's a genuine horse, but he's sort of, throughout his form, he's pretty well exposed now, even though he's early in his 3-year-old career. He's had a fair bit of racing for a young horse, and we sort of know where his form sits.
One more that I want to ask you two about. That's half of the field we've covered, but the last one is Azina, 2 for 3. We spoke to Natasha Faithful on the Sports Daily earlier on today, and she goes there on the weekend with a tick over a month between runs. Can you see her playing a part?
She's in my numbers. As silly as it sounds, I don't think she can win. I'd be staggered, but she has the form lines. Like, she's got form lines around Nunez. Now, we know that Nunez is a midweek winner most recently, but Nunez ran around in a size. Who won the size? Snowdome. She ran third behind Baby Paris. Baby Paris is in the conversation for a Placid Arc. Most recently, she beat Major Max. Now, Major Max is a subsequent winner. 53 kilos, small field. She'll be flooding home. She might be spotting them too much of a start, but I think she'll run well.
That was my big question mark. I think she's going to be maybe a length or two behind Amelia's Jewel, and then she's going to be giving Snowdome maybe 4 or 5 lengths on the home corner. I think that's a big task.
Now, you know how it works at this time of the show, gents. We get the numbers as it stands a couple of days from race day, and then we'll get our $100 strategies after I've got the numbers from both of you too. TC, lead us off.
Well, I'm with Snowdome, with the idea that Man Crush leads. Snowdome just sits to his outside, meaning Amelia's Jewel's 3-back defence. I think he can grab a break at the top of the corner, kick away, and be very hard to run down. The way the track's played the first 2 weeks that we've been back at Ascot, it's been firm and fast, a little bit of an advantage to be closer to the speed. I think that's the way I'm going. Snowdome on top ahead of Amelia's Jewel. I think it's probably daylight third.
I'm in the corner of Amelia's Jewel, and that's not being disparaging towards Snowdome. I reckon he's a cracking colt. I just want to be with her, given what we have seen previously when she's gone to the races. She's turned up each and every time, and she's 3 for 3. She's a winner, and she's high class. I'm mapping her leaders back. I think if she's got Snowdome in her sights, turning for home, she can win this race. So if she's 3-back defence, maybe that's a little bit problematic. I think she can sit third and then blouse in late.
All right, now our $100 strategies will get you to lead off, TC, because you are out in front.
Yeah, let's check the leaderboard first, Kellen.
Daylight in front, it should be said, because we need to pick up our games. And I get the feeling as we get to the warmer part of the year, Diggers, you and I will start to really pick up our game.
It helps if you actually, when you throw out Miss Kentucky and also Comfort Me, that you probably should have had 50 on both of them rather than have 100 on Comfort Me. And I've paid the price for that, and I've got some free advice from your good self, Taylor. So good luck here.
Now, last week, TC, you were able to build the bank. Do it again.
Have you got your cartons yet, TC?
Oh, please.
Okay.
Seems to be some sort of issue with people go to a particular school in Perth paying debts.
Oh, okay.
But, I'll leave that to the imagination.
You'll get them at the end of the season. I'm not done with you yet, my friend.
Oh. Okay.
I'm just going $100 straight out on Snowdome. I just feel like I've got more of a grip at this stage of his campaign on how well he's going. Snowdome, I said yesterday on the Path to the Pinnacles when we took at the nominations, I was keen to take on Amelia's Jewel. I thought there'd be a little bit more competition in the race, but it's dropped away. But I'm very prepared to end with egg on the face as she comes floating home.
All right. Well, I'm second, so I'll go second. Thank you very much, Diggers.
Okay.
Last week, Massimo got my little bank. I had the little each way bet on him. Built up the bank all right. So I'm going to have it straight out on the best horse. $100 the win, Amelia's Jewel.
Okay, well, I'm going to take your 2 selections and put them together in a Quinella because I think they run 1-2. I don't know what that is going to pay. I was just having a chat with TC off air about that, but it wouldn't be a shock if Snowdome won. It wouldn't be a shock if Amelia's Jewel won. I think it would be a shock if they didn't run 1-2. So that is the way I'm going.
Very nice indeed. That is Path to the Pinnacles for another week. Done and dusted. We'll be back next week. We'll have a look at the Group 3 Asian Bow, the Group 3 Prince of Wales Stakes, and also the Placid Arc Prelude. 3 races to work through next week on the Path to the Pinnacles.
Join Jim Walker and Digby Beecham on the Sports Daily each weekday morning from 5:30.